Hey parents, it's Miss Schaefer. I'm hopping on today to go live with you. If you could just, if you have any questions that you think of, comment on the comments below and I will answer them to the best of my ability. If I don't know the answer to your question at the time, I will figure it out and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I don't want to speak for other teachers if I haven't talked to them about the subject that you have questions on. So just again, a reminder, if I can't answer your question, we will get back to you as soon as we can. So today's video, I'm going over this week's packet, what you can expect to see and what the teachers are expecting to have done with these packets. So really quick, I'm going to pull out each item by day. So this is our cover page right here. It says April 6th through the 10th. We have assignments Monday through Friday. If you aren't able to complete the suggested assignment on the day of, it is just a suggestion. So this does not mean you cannot do something on Saturday or on Sunday if you need to. So the first part of your packet, you need to put your student's name and their teacher. This just kind of helps out with the office sorting packets through, getting them to where they need to go. So please be sure to do that. And also please be sure to turn in the packet with this paper on top. If you lose this paper for any reason, you can just put a blank piece of paper in the front with this information: name, student's name, teacher, and date of the packet. Again, it just makes it a little bit easier for those who are trying to sort packets and get them to the correct teachers. So now we're going to look at this page. This should be the second page in your packet. It is labeled Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So again, just the suggestions of how we do these lessons in our classroom. Just trying to keep it as normal for them as possible. So Monday looks like there's quite a bit on Monday, but under Monday is going over your spelling words and fluency words and the decodable book and the word list. And that is what you do throughout the week. So even though those are under Monday, again, those are done throughout the week, which we'll go over here in a little bit. So the first thing we are doing on Monday is phonics lesson 134. So if you subscribe to my YouTube page, there will be a video uploaded for lesson 134, if it hasn't already been. That is for the phonics paper. Now, again, remember, this video is for the students to do their phonics paper along with it. So it's not just watch the video and it's not just do the paper. You do them together. You do turn in the paper. Now, in this packet, there was a phonics paper that was incorrect. So I have the teacher's lesson right here that shows the phonics paper that you will get at the bottom. So I do not have the original phonics paper, but your packet will have that paper. So the wrong phonics paper was in this one. That won't be the case for yours. So make sure when you get your packet, you see this page right here, 134 OR. Still having trouble getting on the websites for the schoolwork. Okay, I will, Angela, I will address that. I'm going to explain this first, and then I will talk to you about the online websites. Thank you for that. So right here, OR page. Now, again, this goes along with the video. Your teacher who is doing the video is going to explain what they want the student to write on each line, okay? And then at the bottom, your student is going to identify the OR arc and the sound that it makes. Again, the phonics video is very important to go along with this. We post the link on the Facebook page. You get it sent to you through Class Dojo. If you do not have access to either one of those, you can go on YouTube, type in Carissa Schaefer, and subscribe to my page. Please do that because that is how your student will be able to complete these numbers 1 through 12 at the top and know what to put. On the back side, again, it'll show you in the video, they're going to practice reading words with the OR arc inside them, or in the word, and then they're going to look inside the box and circle the correct word that the teacher asked them to circle. So again, that goes along with the video. After you finish your phonics, there is a crossword page. So the word bank is at the bottom. You will likely have to assist your student with this, and that is okay. We do these a lot in kindergarten as whole group, and then as they get a little more familiar with them, you'll start to see them being able to do it on their own. So the picture, fork, this one's going down, they write the letters. They can look at the bottom for help on how to spell the word. So we have fork, shore, horse, cork, corn, thorn, and torn. So that's the phonics crossword that you're going to do with your student on Monday. The next lesson is the 19.1 math. So on this page, we're going to start talking to them about measuring objects and the different ways that you can measure objects. Now, you're not going to have to pull out a ruler for this or a weight, scale, any of that, okay? We're just teaching them the difference in how you weigh different things. For example, you can't take a tree outside and put it on a scale to weigh it, but you could probably measure how tall a tree is. And like on this first page where it has the jar, it says, Katie wants to measure the jar. What can she find out? So you're going to talk to your students about, if you see a jar, what do you think that's filled with marbles? What do you think she's going to measure that? Or how do you think she's going to measure that? What do you think she can find out from that? So you're going to be talking to them about looking at this. I would think she can find out how many marbles can be held in the jar, or how many marbles can that jar hold, okay? Turning to the back page, right here, it gives you some options on number 1. The instructions are on the bottom. It says, which object would you most likely want to find how much it holds? So just, again, teaching them the vocabulary used for measuring different things and teaching them how we measure different things. So when we want to weigh something, we put it on a scale. When we want to see how much something holds, we pour it in a cup or a bowl. That is the gist of this lesson for math. It's not necessarily measuring the things as much as it is teaching them, this is longer, this is shorter, this is heavier, this is lighter. And we'll get more into that later on in the video. But just for right now, the instructions are at the bottom on 19.1, and it's mostly just about teaching them how to measure different objects. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, please contact your teacher over Dojo, but the instructions are at the bottom, and it's not so much as having to have a ruler or something like that. We're just teaching them about it. So I saw... Angela, you're still having trouble getting on the websites for the schoolwork. Okay, so the websites are extra as far as these packets go. So these packets are the main thing we want the students to complete because this is their schoolwork. And the packets are in the online resources are just extra online resources that they can do. If there is something that you're having trouble logging onto, messaging your student's teacher on Dojo, calling up to the school, emailing your student's teacher, and we can kind of try to figure out what is going on there if maybe you have the wrong password or the wrong information, or you are, I know some people were following the link that we sent them on the Pearson website, and it ended up taking them to the wrong link. In last week's video, last Sunday, I also went through step-by-step on how to do all of the log on to all of the online resources. So that's also a good resource for you to go back to and look at that. And I explain how to get to each website so that way you can put in your class code or your student's username. But if you're worried about your student falling behind while you are trying to figure that out, they are not falling behind while you're trying to figure out how to log on there. So just kind of wanted to make sure that you weren't stressed that they might be missing out on work. It's an extra resource that we're using during this time. So if you do have any more trouble with it, please, you can contact your teacher and she will get back to you in order to help kind of figure out what's going on there. Summer Bible, you have the Class Dojo, more websites. Okay, so the video for the phonics lessons don't get uploaded onto Dojo, as in you won't be able to watch them on Dojo. We did try to do that and it wouldn't work. So the videos are on YouTube. What your teacher will do is put a post on Dojo with a link, and you click on that link and it takes you to the YouTube page where you can watch the phonics lesson. So the video lessons for phonics won't be on the Facebook page and they won't be on Dojo. We will post the links to it because we tried both ways and weren't able to upload the actual video to those sites. We could only upload them to YouTube and then provide the link for you to click on to get to those videos on YouTube. So I hope that helps. If you have any trouble accessing that, you can also go to YouTube, type in my name, Carissa Schaefer. It's on my profile. And there is an option. It has Carissa Schaefer right there. It's a blue C as the icon. And there is, I think, 3 or 4 videos that are uploaded to there right now. And if you hit the subscribe button on the YouTube page, then anytime I upload a video on there, it will send you a notification letting you know. So if the links aren't working for you, you can also just search my name on YouTube, and that's where the videos are. And as far for the ABC Mouse, the teachers do get notifications or not notifications, but they do get reports on students' progress on ABC Mouse. But as far as what we're keeping track of for the state, that is going to be these packets. So right now, the teacher's main priority is the work that's being done in these packets and turned in these packets. If you want to, her question was asking if the teachers were tracking the work on ABC Mouse and these online resources. Again, the teacher's main priority and what we're trying to keep up with the best we can right now is what's in the packets, because we don't have all of our students logged on online. So again, those online resources, they're awesome. We're putting assignments on there for the students to do that have logged on, but that's not something that we are keeping track of as far as what the state is asking us to keep track of, because not every student has access to it. Okay, so I think I've answered all the questions I have so far. I'm going to pull out the spelling test now. Again, the spelling words and all of the fluency words, word list, that's all under Monday, but we don't want you to only work on it on Monday. It is to be worked on throughout the week whenever you have time. So the spelling words are going to go along with our phonics. These are the OR ARC words. I do want to talk to y'all for a second about giving the spelling test. The spelling test is given on Friday. So your spelling test will not be behind these words. Your spelling test is going to be further towards the back, most likely where the Friday work is. Packets are done differently by whoever's doing them, but if you don't see the spelling test behind your spelling words, that does not mean it's not in there. Look through the whole packet. Okay. So these words right here, when you're giving this spelling test, in kindergarten, taking a spelling test is a skill that we're trying to teach them before first grade. And that is our main goal with these spelling tests, is giving them that skill. So when you think of a 5-year-old taking the spelling test, that is a lot of steps that you're requiring for them to do to be able to hear a word and then think of the word and put it on the paper in the blanks. So I'm telling you this because I've had a lot of parents who were surprised at how much they had to help their student. And when I say help, I use that term without giving the answer. So, Miss Twilliger hopped on. She said the handwriting sheets in the packet are to practice spelling words on. Yes, I have those right behind it. Just real quick, these are to practice writing your spelling words on. Okay, so if you see these, that's what these are for. Thank you, Miss Twilliger, throughout the week. So I've had a lot of parents who were a little they were wondering if they were doing it wrong, because when they were giving their spelling test, they weren't able to say car, and then their student just immediately write it down. Again, this is a skill we've been teaching them throughout the year, and they've taken a really long break from it because of everything that's been going on. So whenever I have parents that say, well, I had to help them, well, there is a way to help them that we help them without giving the answers to them. So I just kind of want to discuss that with you, so that way you are not, stressed out whenever your student isn't able to take the spelling test just by hearing the word, maybe the same way your second grader is able to take their test. In kindergarten, we're teaching them how to take this test, and that is a skill that they have to learn. But we don't want to give them the answers. So I wanted to make that pretty clear over this video to make sure that we didn't have anyone just giving the answers, but we also didn't want for the student and the parent to both be stressed because the parent was calling out the word and the student was having trouble just writing it from hearing it. So this is the spelling test they're going to take on Friday. And these are the words they'll study throughout the week. Now, whenever we give a student a spelling test, again, this depends on your student. Your student may be able to hear the word, recall it, write it down, and that's fine. But if your student is not there yet, when you're giving the spelling test, you would say, number 1 is fork. First sound, f. The next 2 blanks are for the sound or. The next 2 blanks are for the arc or. What arc says or? What 2 letters say or? So those are all things that are acceptable for you to say to help ease the, to help ease kind of the stress of the student trying to recall the word and write it down. Again, it seems so simple, but for these 5-year-olds, that is a lot of steps to go through, and they're still learning how to do this. So, and then you might get to the last blank and say, on the last blank, the sound is k, f, or k. So again, you might have a student that can hear f or k and write the word. You might have a student who needs it simplified more. First blank, f. The next 2 blanks are for the sound or, and the last blank is for the k sound. Okay, and then you need to have them write it over on the handwriting line. We want it here for the spelling and here for the handwriting. And what we're looking for on the handwriting line is that if they're writing a lowercase f, it goes all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. If they're writing a lowercase o, it goes to the dotted line here and then to the bottom. So, and yes, Anna, sounding out the word and using, and also using the spelling word in a sentence helps. Yes, and you'll just have to figure out what works for your student. Again, I don't want you giving them the answer. I don't want you saying F says f, so that's your first blank. We're not giving them the answer, but you're guiding them through that process of thinking and putting it on this page and taking that test. It's a lot of steps for these little ones. So I don't want you to feel like you're cheating if you're having to break it down and slow it down like that. But I also don't want to encourage you to give the answers to your students. So I hope that helps a little bit. We have students in the class who can hear the word and write it. We have students who have to break it down into the different sounds. And then you have students that you have to say first blank, next 2 blanks, or. That's all acceptable in this grade because they're still learning that skill and trying to perfect that skill. And the more you work on them and show them how to think through that, the quicker they're going to get at it, the faster it's going to go. And then by the time they get to first grade, the goal is to have them hear the word and write it on the test. So sorry if that took a little while to explain. I just wanted to make sure that I was really getting that to where you were able to understand that. That's okay to have to kind of guide them through that thought process. So one more time, just spelling words on this side. Please do the handwriting on that side. And please discuss with your student throughout the week while they're practicing their spelling words on here how to do top line. We always start at the top. If a lowercase f comes up here and goes all the way down here, a lowercase o comes to the dotted line and comes down to the bottom line. So those are all things that we're looking for on this handwriting line right here. Okay, so enough about the spelling words. Those are for you to work on throughout the week. This is your word list right here. You just practice reading these words throughout the week. These are words that hopefully they should be able to sound out and say. On the bottom, you have your fluency words of this right here. These are sight words. We have said, little, who, you, and what. Remember, those for the fluency test, they are not writing those words down. They do not have to learn how to write those words. They have to learn how to see that word and tell you what it is. okay? Because these are words that do not follow the phonics rules that we're teaching them. So they just have to see it and know it. So if you're giving this sight word test to your student, you're going to point to a word and they should be able to say little, you, said, who, and what. When we ask them these words, we usually don't go in order because they're really good at repetition and just saying said, little, who, what, you, what, without looking at it. So that's just another tip on testing them. On your spelling test for your bonus words, also those are bonus. So those are usually sight words. We usually have sight words posted up in the room for them to be able to recall those things. So I don't want you to stress out if your student is having trouble with those bonus words. We obviously want them to work on them and to get the questions right, but those bonus words are just bonus points. So really just making sure that their 1 through 5 is really what you want to spend. If it takes you 15 minutes for your student to write those 5 words on there, 1 through 5, that's fine. That's okay. Okay, so just that's all under Monday, but again, the spelling and fluency words and stuff goes on throughout the week. You also have this in there. This is our decodable. Remember, I discussed last week. Have your students read these to you, color them, write them, make them your own. Don't send them back. They're for your students to keep, put their name on it, work on it home. There's questions in the back asking, checking to make sure that they comprehended what they read. So checking that whenever they read something, they're actually understanding what they're reading and they're not just reading it without thinking about what they're reading. So please keep those. Don't send them back. They're for your kids to keep and practice on. These are awesome books to practice on. It's really great to get them to become a more fluent reader. Please keep those, color on them, and make them your own. Something new that you're going to see in your journal this week in your packet this week is our class journals. Now, you're not going to see any prompts on this page. So what is very important is that you are checking your class dojo and the Facebook page because we are going to post the prompts for the week. Now, when we do these journals in kindergarten, we do them in our composition journals. It was going to be a little much to try to send home everyone's composition journal, so we made these for you. You are going to have prompts posted on Facebook and on Class Dojo for each day of the week. We usually start our day with these, so we would like for the students to do each one of these a day, again with the handwriting lines, practicing things like starting with your first word starts with an uppercase letter. Be sure they're putting the punctuation like a period at the end. Make sure that your student, if it's a lowercase a, it's not going all the way to the top of the line. Those are just kind of things that we work on with them, and we do help them with the sentences that need to be written. So do not expect for your kindergartner to hear the sentence, "When I look out my window, I see," and be able to write that without any help or modeling whatsoever. So when you get a prompt, let's say the prompt is, I like to, something easy. So you're going to start with an uppercase letter. They're going to write it on the handwriting line, and I will show you this here in a second. I like, be sure they have a space between the two words, like, and then to. I like to, you'll write the sentence, and then you will talk to your student. What is something you like to do? What is something you want to put on here? And most of your students will probably say, oh, play. So you can put, I like to, kind of sound it out with them. Say, okay, let's sound that out. Let's try to write that word. P, p, p. O, what says that? And then A. And then, of course, you're going to have to help them spell that word, but just kind of getting some teachable moments in there saying, hey, can you spell this word with me? Can you help me spell it? Let's try to figure it out. And then write it and be sure you have that period at the end. So writing the sentence, I like to play, and then you're going to ask them to illustrate that at the top. And we really like using that word. Okay, you wrote your sentence at the bottom. Let's illustrate or draw you playing at the top. So then your student would draw a picture of them playing at the top. Just going to draw stick figures. You'll have to forgive me for my lack of drawing. I promise I'm a much better artist in class. So let's say your student likes to play kickball. And then they can draw the grass. We like for them to be as detailed as they can, just getting that practice in with writing. And then we also usually like for them to color the picture after. It's just something that's a little fun, and you can get as fun and creative with this as you want. But there is enough pages for you to do one every day. Like I said, we'll be posting the prompts in a post. If you have a friend that you know isn't on Facebook or isn't able to get on Dojo, please send them a copy of that. Teachers are going to be trying to get a hold of parents who aren't able to see those that way. Just something for you to do with your student and kind of build off of that and talk about the things that you're writing in there, and just make it a fun experience for them. I like to play outside. We'll talk about what do we do outside, or let's look outside. What is my favorite thing when I see out the window? Again, just kind of giving them something that is an important skill to learn, but also kind of making it your own, and having those special moments with them. We really love journals. We learn a lot about our kids in those, and so please take advantage of that tool and that resource, because it's really great whenever they start writing those things with you and you get to know them a little more, and it's really fun. So anyways, I'm going to try not to make myself cry. So on Tuesday, you have the I Love to Read Or page. So that's right here. We did a worksheet like that last week with AR. You're going to help them read the sentence across. They will need help with it, but there is a lot of this that they can sound out, and we want them to sound out as much as they can and decode the words and read them as much as they can. So they will need your help with that, but we really want them to start getting more independent reading those sentences. So they read the sentence, find the picture that goes along with it, cut and glue where it goes. 19.2, you're just comparing length. You will not need a ruler for this, so do not panic. It's mostly just talking about things that are longer than, shorter than, or the same length. Okay, so that's you. Your student might not be familiar with that vocabulary, so you might say, well, which one of those is longer than? And they're like, well, what do you mean? So that's what this lesson is doing. It's teaching them what's longer than, shorter than, or the same length. You'll see cubes here, and it's going to tell you at the bottom to make a cube train. That you do not have to do that. A lot of times what we do in class is if it says to make a cube train that is longer than the cube train that is shown. So you're going to draw, and your student should be familiar with this part, a cube train underneath that is longer, and then it says to color it. So that's all you do right there. So please don't panic. You do not need a cube train to complete this. And then again, all of the instructions are at the bottom. This one is a little more simple, just dealing with length. Be sure that you read the instructions at the bottom. You are welcome, Summer. Because that's where the vocabulary is. And it's funny to use that word vocabulary in math, but that is very important to use those directions at the bottom to say which one is longer than, which one is shorter than, which ones are the same length. So be sure you're reading those instructions at the bottom, because there's a lot of important vocabulary in there. Wednesday, the I Can Read Or page and chapter 19.3. So the I Can Read Or page, again, sounding out these words, p, or, k, and finding the picture that goes with it at the bottom. I'm going to assume it's this one right here. And then, this one right here, sorry. And then cord, fork, 40, horn, corn, horse. So they need to be able to sound out as much of this as they can. If they need your help, that's okay, but we really want them to work on independently being able to sound out and read those words. If they say, what is this word? Say, okay, well, let's sound it out. Point to each letter, have them make the sound. And if you have to help them with the sound, that's okay. But again, just instead of saying, oh, that's cork, so find the cork. Please try to let them read as much of that as possible. It's okay to help them out, but we really want to build their confidence in reading and get them to where they are reading these a little more independently. 19.3, comparing heights. This one is saying, look at the chairs, compare the heights of the two chairs. Use the words taller than, shorter than, or about the same height to describe the heights. Draw around the taller chair, draw an X on the shorter chair. So talk to your students, which one is taller than, which one is shorter than. Maybe look at something in your house. Look at our chairs at our table. Are they about the same height? Are some taller or some shorter? Just kind of giving those real life examples to kind of help that idea stick with them. This one again, drawing cube towers. You don't have to get out cubes, just drawing the towers next to them, making some that are taller than, making some that are shorter than. Also, just another reminder, please read the directions at the bottom to use the correct vocabulary. You don't want to say, well, which one is bigger? But their paper is telling you which one is taller. So, again, reading the vocabulary to make sure that you're using those correct terms so as to not confuse them later on. In the back, it wants you to color the trees that are the same height and then to choose which container is taller at the bottom. So nothing special that you need for that. Don't let the cube trains make you panic. You don't need any of those. You can just draw them. On Thursday, the write the word or page. Right here, we had a page just like this last week. Your word bank is at the bottom. Again, letting them sound out as many of those words as they can, and then they write it under the picture. You see handwriting lines again. We use these a lot, really emphasizing, starting at the top, going all the way to the bottom with your letter. Again, if it's a lowercase a, stops at the dotted line. If it's a lowercase f, it should be all the way to the top. So please make sure that you are reiterating those things with them as they're writing. This one, comparing weights, you do not need a scale. You're just going to talk about which object is heavier than and which object is lighter than, or about the same weight. On these, you're just circling the objects, and on this side, it tells you to find a book in the classroom. Now, you can find a book at home, any sort of book, and then you need to find an object that is lighter than the book, and then it wants you to draw it, and then find an object that is heavier than the book, and then to draw it in the space below. Okay, so again, you can just find any book at your house, draw an object that is lighter, draw an object that is heavier, and have them kind of navigate that for you. Say, well, feel this book, hold this book. What object do you think is lighter than this book? Put the book in one hand and put your object in the other. So I have an empty water bottle right here. Which one feels lighter? Tell me which one is lighter. So, and then drawing it on the page. On the back side, number 7, draw to show what you know about comparing the weights of a piece of paper and another object, and then tell a friend about your drawing. So having a piece of paper and show what you know about comparing the weights of a piece of paper. So that's going to be different for each student. This student might say, well, I know that this is lighter than a TV. Okay, and then so they might draw a TV here and then the paper here and circle the TV and put that it's heavier. It's drawing what you know about the weights of a piece of paper and another object. So again, if you find an object that's lighter than a piece of paper, I can't think of very many, so you're probably going to choose something. Your student will probably choose something that is heavier, and just draw a picture of those two objects and talk about it. You're going to have to talk about that and have them explain how they came to that conclusion. On number 8, you're going to choose which pumpkin is lighter. So that is the math, and that is on Thursday. On Friday, the circle and sort AR and OR page. So you're going to go through these sentences with your student again, supporting them in reading these words, being there to kind of help them think through them, but we do want them to read as much as possible on their own. And the only way to get more fluent and to become a stronger reader is to keep reading. So help them where they need it, but please try to help them be as independent on each word as you can. So you're going to circle the words that have AR in them and write them on this side. Circle the words that have OR in them and write them on this side after reading the sentences. That's on Friday. Also on Friday is our science, what plants need. So you are talking about the different things that plants need to survive. We have light, soil, air. On this one, on the front page, it wants you to draw a line to the things that plants need. Plants need the sun, draw a line. Plants do not need a fish to survive, so you do not need to draw a line there. Going throughout this, just reading the directions at the bottom, it's really self-explanatory. It's asking you to draw a sun in the space above. You read this at the bottom for the lesson, and it is not very it's very self-explanatory. It's not super complicated, so I think that you will do very well with that. This is also a really fun activity to get a little creative with and take your students outside and look at different plants, talk about the sun and the air and light, and kind of I know that Miss Acevedo posted a video to the Facebook page earlier today, so please be sure to check that out as well. On Friday, you give the spelling and fluency test. I hope my tips were helpful. Again, it's not uncommon for you to have to help your student think through that spelling test, but we do not want to encourage you to give the answers to them. So if you did not see what I said about that earlier, please go back before you give the spelling test for some tips on how to help them think through that process without giving them the answer. Trying to think, if anyone has any more questions, you can comment them below. Again, if you're having trouble with the online resources, we do want students to be able to log on to those websites. We use them at school, but if you are having trouble in the meantime, do not panic or think that your student is falling behind on work or missing anything, because they right now their work that we're sending to them is what's in this packet. So the online resources are just kind of extra to have them work on in a different format on the things that we go through throughout the year. So also I'm going to be posting some Jack Hartman videos on the kindergarten page, and also on my dojo and the other teachers. We'll have a link to do that as well. Jack Hartman is the rock star of kindergarten. The kids love him, and he has a lot of really great songs. Look him up on YouTube, subscribe to his page. There are skills that we've already learned in kindergarten that we usually go over every single morning during our carpet time, and we obviously aren't able to do that right now. So things like counting with your student to 120, practicing sight words, teen numbers, skip counting, just different. I know that Miss Twilliger has posted some and sent a letter talking about following Jack Hartman on YouTube. There's also videos for phonics, and Have Fun Teaching is another YouTube page that has a lot of those learning videos, but I'll be posting those on the Facebook page ever so often. Please watch those with your students. Let them sing, let them dance. They are super catchy and they'll get stuck in your head all day, but they love them, and they are working on skills that we taught earlier in the year that we really don't want them to lose. Like I said, like working on those teen numbers, recognizing sight words, counting to 120. Those are just kind of a couple examples of the kinds of songs that he does. So Have Fun Teaching and Jack Hartman are two awesome pages to follow on YouTube. We'll post some here on the Facebook page. Packet pickup and drop off. Whenever you're picking up a packet on Monday, drop off the week's previous packet. Tomorrow in your packets, you will have a letter going home from the school district, it is very important that you make sure you have that letter. It is going to kind of go over some of the changes that are going to be happening as this break is prolonged. So just complying with what the state is wanting us to do. So please read that letter. It's very important that you do. If you know someone who has not been able to pick up their packets or who's having trouble, reach out to them, reach out to your teachers. We only know what you tell us. So again, contacting us through Dojo, email, or however your teacher has designated for you to contact them, just kind of letting us know what's going on. And so we're trying to reach as many students as we can. So when you pick up your packets on Monday, drop off this week's previous packet. If you are getting your packets delivered to you, I've had parents ask me what they're supposed to do with the packets when they're done and they're getting them delivered to them. Please return the packets with your aide. You do not have to come up to the school and turn those in separately or keep them. If the aide is bringing you a packet that's being delivered, hand her the packet and she can take it back to the school for you. So turning in the packets when you pick up your other ones. If you haven't gotten your students' login information yet for the online resources, please, whenever you pick up your next packet, ask them for that. Say, I need this week's work packet and I also need my students' login information. Because that went out on a Wednesday, and we usually do our packet pickups on Monday. So I know we did have some parents who weren't able to get those. Again, if you're not able to pick up packets on Monday due to working hours or something of that sort, be sure that you pick it up on another day. New campus hours are from 8 to 1. So if there is an issue with that, please contact your teacher or the elementary office so we can figure out how to get those packets to you. I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that I explained things well enough that you will be able to get through this week's packet without having any troubles. If you have any questions on here, you can comment below and we'll get back to you as soon as someone sees it. We're pretty good about checking this page and answering any questions. And if you need help on online resources, please contact your teacher and we can help you out that way. I can't think of anything else. I don't see any new comments. So be sure that if you have questions throughout the week that you're coming back to check out this video, especially before giving the spelling test. Maybe go over some of the ways that I modeled to give the spelling test for your student. Keep these at home. They're for your student to practice. And I think that is it for this week. So thank you so much for hopping on. If you have any questions throughout the week, you can comment on this post, comment on your page, email the teacher, send a message on Class Dojo, any of those options, and will work, and we will help you out as much as we can. Okay, thank you so much. Bye.